Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling completely empty, like someone had drained all the energy from your body and soul? You began the dialogue with confidence, but just a few minutes later, you were filled with self-doubt, frustration, or even guilt for something that wasn't your fault. This isn't random. People with toxic behavior patterns possess a powerful skill, the ability to take control of a situation by pulling you into an emotional trap. They know exactly how to activate your hidden vulnerabilities. They press the right psychological buttons. They provoke the response they want until you find yourself justifying, explaining, or defending yourself, while they quietly tighten the grip. But what if you could stop this manipulation with a single word, or even a single calm breath? What if the next time someone tried to unbalance you, you didn't get angry, didn't argue, didn't even react the way they expected? Instead, you responded with clarity, and that response instantly broke their hold over you. Today, we're going to talk about exactly that. Not just a technique, but a way to protect your energy, your self-worth, and your emotional well-being. A way to integrate your shadow and stand rooted in your true self. Because if you've ever dealt with a toxic person, this message might be exactly what you need right now. Most people believe that the only way to stand up to a toxic person is to be sharp-witted, quick with comebacks, ready for battle. But the truth is, the most powerful form of protection is not attack. It's not sarcasm. It's not even ignoring. The real power lies in awareness. Because the moment you react, whether with anger or with explanations, you've already stepped onto their battlefield. Toxic people feed on your emotions. Your psychological energy is their fuel. It doesn't matter if you're furious or defensive. The key is that you're engaged. You've entered their game. And if their words triggered you, if they stirred up guilt or shame, it means their shadow touched something in your own. It's like throwing wood into a fire. It only grows. But what happens when you don't give them that energy? What happens when, instead of flaring up or breaking down, you stay calm? When you respond in a way that doesn't fit their script, you confuse them. You disrupt the pattern. You show them and yourself that they no longer have power over you. And by the way, if this message is already resonating with you, take a moment to subscribe to the channel, leave a comment sharing your experience, and hit the like button to support this kind of content. It helps more than you know. And you never know who else might need to hear this today. Let's keep going. Many people think strength means hitting back, putting someone in their place with a cutting remark or shutting them down with force. But true strength, it's quieter. It's not about fighting harder. It's about not fighting at all. Real power is choosing not to enter the emotional chaos. It's staying centered when someone tries to pull you into a spiral of blame, guilt, or confusion. Because the moment you stop reacting the way they expect, the moment you stop justifying, stop defending, stop explaining yourself, you take your power back. Have you ever noticed how certain people always leave you feeling cornered after a conversation? You didn't start the talk with any tension, but somehow you end up exhausted, emotionally drained, maybe even ashamed. That's because toxic people use the same psychological tricks over and over. They create scenarios where you feel the need to prove something. They twist your words, slap labels on you, plant seeds of doubt. Why does it work so well? Because most of us can't stand being misunderstood. When someone falsely accuses us, we instinctively want to correct it, to explain, to fix it. But the moment we do, we're caught. We've accepted their premise. They are the judge, and we are the accused. And that's the trap. Picture this. Someone looks you in the eye and says, "You're so selfish. You never think about anyone else." In that moment, your instinct screams, "Prove them wrong." You want to explain, to defend your intentions, to remind them of all the times you cared. But that's exactly what they want. Because the moment you start explaining, you step into the role of the accused. They control the narrative. You're just reacting. Here's another classic trap, a subtle insult. Well, not everyone can be smart, I guess. If you say, "I don't agree," they've hooked you. If you get angry, even better. Now they can say, "See, You're so sensitive. You can't even take a joke. Suddenly, you're not only defensive, now you're the problem. So how do you disarm them completely? By doing something they never expect. Nothing. You don't react. You don't argue. You don't explain. You give them a response that breaks their strategy, one that radiates calm, one that reflects your true self, not your shadow. There's a powerful technique for this. It's called the gray rock method, and it works like this. You become emotionally neutral, unresponsive, like a gray rock, dull, uninterested, still. You give no fuel, no emotional charge, no drama. Let's say someone says, "You always mess everything up." Instead of arguing or defending, you calmly say, "Maybe." That's it. No explanation, no emotion, just calm neutrality. Why does it work? Because a toxic person expects one of two things. They want you to defend yourself or explode with anger. Either reaction means you're emotionally involved, and that's all they need. But when you respond with calm indifference, they're left with nothing. It's like trying to light a fire with wet wood. It just doesn't catch. One especially powerful response is simply, "and," or "you're entitled to think that." When someone throws criticism or provokes you with a cruel comment like, "You never do anything right," instead of flaring up or shrinking down, you respond with, "Maybe you're right." Not because you agree, but because you're no longer playing their game. And here's the key. When you first start using this method, toxic people won't know what hit them. They might double down, push harder, say something more offensive, try to hit a deeper nerve. Why? Because they're confused. Their usual tactics aren't working. But if you remain calm and give the same neutral answers, "That's your opinion. I hear you. Could be." They lose their grip. They see your strength, not your wounds. They see yourself, not your shadow. Because for the first time, you're not reacting from fear, guilt, or anger. You're standing in awareness, and that is a power they can't touch. But what if they don't stop? What if, even after your calm responses, they keep pushing more aggressively, more manipulatively? That's when your next tool becomes crucial. Knowing when to walk away. You don't owe anyone an endless argument. You don't have to stay in a conversation that's turning into a psychological battlefield. Sometimes the most powerful move is to say, "I don't see any point in continuing this discussion." And then simply stop. End the exchange. Leave the room. Hang up the phone. Walk away. This isn't weakness. It's not surrender. It's clarity. It's choosing not to play by rules that were designed to disempower you. Yes, at first you might feel doubt. You might worry they'll say you ran away or couldn't handle the truth. Let them, because the real weakness is staying in a toxic cycle, arguing, defending, trying to make someone understand you when they never intended to listen in the first place. Your strength isn't in how well you argue. It's in how well you protect your peace. So next time you feel pulled into a toxic exchange, ask yourself, is this a conversation or is it a trap? If it's a trap, step out. You don't have to prove anything to someone who's only looking for a reaction. Here's where many people stumble. The victim act. When a toxic person suddenly flips the script, they might say, "I didn't mean to upset you," or act hurt to trigger guilt. They may sigh dramatically, go quiet, or accuse you of being cold or heartless. And suddenly you feel bad. You begin to comfort them, explain yourself again, say, "I didn't mean to upset you." And just like that, you're back in the web. They have control again. But what if you've already reacted? What if you did raise your voice, explain, or defend? It's okay. We all slip. The key is to notice it and stop the spiral. You can pause. You can say, "I don't want to continue this conversation right now," and walk away. You don't need to win every moment. You just need to stay awake and take back your energy. Because the less emotion you give them, the faster their power fades. There are even moments when silence is your best answer. Silence is not weakness. It's not passive aggression. It's the refusal to waste your energy. And that in itself is a deep act of strength. Picture this. Someone makes a sarcastic comment expecting a reaction, but instead of defending or sighing in frustration, you look at them calmly, maybe say nothing at all, and return to whatever you were doing. That's not ignoring. That's sovereignty. They wanted a battle. You didn't even show up to the war. As you begin using these tools, something remarkable happens. You no longer feel trapped in conversations. You stop dreading interactions with people who used to unnerve or exhaust you, because your power doesn't come from outsmarting the manipulator. It comes from no longer playing the game. This shift changes everything. People who once controlled you with guilt or pressure may become confused. Some will push harder, others will change their tone. But eventually, they lose interest. Their old tactics no longer work. They can no longer reach you the way they used to. And most importantly, you change. You stop feeling like you owe anyone an explanation. You stop believing that someone else's approval is more important than your peace. You realize that your emotions are your territory. No one can make you feel small, guilty, or angry unless you give them that power. You begin to value your energy. You choose where it flows, and that is real strength. So the next time someone throws a provocation, a guilt trip, or a manipulative trap your way, you can simply breathe and say, "You're entitled to think that," and walk away, free, calm, and in control. Remember, you never need to justify yourself to someone who never intended to understand you. Your power lies in your response, and your silence may be the loudest message of all. If this message spoke to something inside you, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment sharing how you've dealt with toxic people in your life. And hit the like button if this helped you reclaim even a little piece of your power. Here we talk about self-worth, boundaries, inner strength, and the path of individuation, because your energy belongs to you and no one else. Stay grounded, stay sovereign, and never forget, you are not here to play someone else's game. You are here to walk your own path with clarity, calm, and quiet power.